Welcome back. Lesson 2 was all about authentication, getting the key in the door. Now the door is open. In this lesson, we actually use it. We're going deep on reading data using the official Google API's data package. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand how ranges work, what value render options do, or how to read multiple ranges in a single API call. And you'll have a fully polished product list UI wired up with Riverpod's as sync notifier provider. Let's go. Before you write any code, you need to understand how the Sheets API models your spreadsheet. This is a conceptual foundation everything else builds on. So a spreadsheet has 3 layers. The spreadsheet, the whole file, identified by its spreadsheet ID. This is a long string in the URL you saved in lesson 1. Then we have the sheet, a single tab inside the spreadsheet. The default tab is called sheet 1. A spreadsheet can have many sheets, products, categories, orders. Each is a separate sheet. Then we have the range, a rectangular block of cells inside a sheet described in A1 notation. Something like sheet 1, exclamation A1, and then colon E10, meaning on the sheet 1 tab, give me columns A through E, rows 1 through 10. When you call spreadsheets.values.get, you get back a value range object. The most important field on it is .values, an object of type list, and each inner list is one row. Each item in that inner list is one cell value. Make sense? Great. So A1 notation sounds intimidating, but it's just a coordinate system. Let's break it down. So column letters, A is column 1, B is column 2, Z is column 26, AA is column 27, and so on. Row numbers is where we have 1 is a first row, 2 is a second, and so on. So when it comes to ranges, A1 is a single cell. A1 colon E1, that's a first row across 5 columns. A2 colon E, that's from row 2 down to the last row with data across columns A to E. Then we have A colon E, entire columns A through E, including the header. Then we have sheets 1 exclamation A2 colon E, same as above but on the sheets 1 tab specifically. So the tab name prefix sheets 1 exclamation is optional if you only have one sheet, but always include it in production code to be explicit. If your tab name has spaces, wrap it in single quotes, something like this. Then we have open-ended ranges like A2 colon E are your friends. They read all rows that have data without you needing to know the row count. Specifying a hard end row like A2 colon E 100 means you'd stop reading it at row 100 even if there are 200 products. When the API returns cell values, it has choices about how to format them. You control this with the value render option parameter. Formatted value by default returns the value as it appears in the sheet with formatting applied. If a cell shows $45.00, you get the string $45.00. Good for display but bad for arithmetic. Then we have unformatted value, which returns the row underlying value without formatting. That is, the actual $45.00 cell becomes 45 as a number. This is what we want for our price field. Then formula returns the formula if the cell contains 1, something like equals A1 plus B1 comes back as a string equals A1 plus B1. Useful for auditing sheets, not for our use case. Then for our product catalog, we'll use unformatted value, so prices come back as numbers and not formatted strings that we then have to pass. Now let's update the repository to use unformatted value. So we'll open our sheets underscore repository.dat. The only change is adding value render option to unformatted value, and that's it. Now prices come back as 45.0 instead of the string, and our product dot from sheet row doesn't need to strip formatting before passing. One of the most powerful features of the Sheets API is batch get, reading multiple ranges in a single HTTP request instead of making one request per range. Why does this matter? Because every API call has latency. If you need to load products and categories and metadata, batch get collapses that into one round trip. The response comes back as a list of value range objects in the same order as your ranges list. Index 0 matches the first range you requested, index 1 the second, and so on. So for our current app, we only have one sheet, so we'll stick with values.get. But when your app grows, remember batch get exists. In lesson 2, we used a future provider. That's fine for read-only data, but from lesson 4 to 5 onwards, we'll need to add products, update products, and delete products, all of which need to update the local state after the API call succeeds. Async notify provider is the right tool for this. It gives us an async value for the UI, just like future provider, but it also lets us expose methods that modify state. Let's set it up now so we have the right foundation. Back to our catalog underscore provider.dat. Now, the key difference from future provider to async notifier provider, as I said, is a class. The build method is equivalent to the future provider's callback. It runs on fast watch and defines the initial state. But because it's a class, we can add methods like add product, update product, delete product that also update state. And that's what the future lesson 4.5 will use. Now let's build a full polished catalog screen. So we'll update our catalog screen. A few decisions worth calling out. So the skeleton loading, instead of a spinner, we show skeleton cards that match the shape of the real cards. This feels much more polished and gives the user a sense of what's coming. If you've gone through the previous courses that we've had, you understand why I've repeated this so many times, how useful it is. Then we have the color-coded category strip. Each product card has a left accent strip and badge that change color based on the category. So the color map is a static const, so it's not rebuilt on every frame. Then we have the error state with icon. It's a cloud of icon and it's more informative than generic error text. It visually communicates couldn't reach the server. So that's lesson 3. You now understand how the Sheets API models data. From the spreadsheet, sheets, and ranges, you can control how values come back using render options. You know how to batch multiple range reads into one API call, and you've upgraded the state management to async notify provider, which is the right foundation for the right operations coming in the future lesson. In lesson 4, we move from reading to writing. We'll implement add product and update product. These are full write operations that append rows and update specific cells in the sheet, then update the Riverpod state so the UI reflects a change immediately. See you in lesson 4.